Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. The next 30-35 minutes, Kaspar and myself, we are in our studio in the office, and we are going to talk with you about how to invest in artificial intelligence. So not so much about what is artificial, how you can use it, what you should do with it, but yeah, we're going to talk about how you could build it into your investment portfolio. Looking at artificial intelligence, I think we can see a lot of it in the news. You see news readings being done already fully by people in artificial intelligence. We can see that, for instance, here in Malaga, we had a robotic dog walking in Calle Larios. That was also a robot. We can see that also people are saying it won't threat so much jobs. But on the other hand, we have seen in Amsterdam that an entire company was already laying off more than 20% of its workforce due to AI. So it is clearly having an impact already. And we'll take you a little bit further in how this could also have a positive impact on investing. Just, what came out also interesting recently, I think it was today or yesterday, Kaspar?
This week, yeah.
This week, Google is to roll out a new search engine, and that search engine will be even more, you can ask anything. So anything you would like to know, you can ask to this search engine, and they will do the work for you. Scary, but it seems to be coming, and very soon. The model is called GPT-4o, and there's a link there. We will share the presentation with you afterwards, and I would really recommend you to have a look at that video, because it's interesting. Initially they were using the voice of Scarlett Johansson, and then she didn't agree with it, and then they said, okay, they use another voice, and they says, no, you used my voice. It was so I recommend you to look at this video, because it will give you very good insight in what artificial intelligence can do. Short disclaimer, everything that we're showing in this presentation cannot be interpreted as being obviously individual investment advice. It's always, if you take some position into any of the products that we are mentioning, it's at your own risk. We advise you that you take good knowledge of that. Short, what is and who is Hugo? This is not Hugo. I'm not Hugo. Hugo is all of us. Hugo is a continuation of the office that Kaspar, sitting next to me, opened here almost 20 years ago in Malaga, in Marbella, under the brand Alex. Later, that was then converted, obviously, in 2015, 2016, I think it was called Bing Bank. And Bing Bank in 2019 was taken over by Saxo Bank. And during the COVID period, we were proposed to continue as an independent partner of Saxo Bank, because of the way that we work with our clients, the way that we treat with our clients. So we know you can always walk into our office. We go to the Costa Blanca where people can visit us. So we have a very specific approach on how we treat our clients. What we're going to talk about today is a vision on AI. Is it a bubble? We're going to talk about the disadvantage of the AI, of course, why you should invest in AI, and obviously also how to invest in artificial intelligence, what instruments to use, and how to make your selection. I don't know if this comes through.
Why should you invest?
This is a video. We'll share it with you. Otherwise,
probably you will know it.
I don't know if you can hear it. It's a video of Kaspar talking in English. And the funny part is, if you look at the same video, the same voice. I hope you can hear it. You can see Kaspar now all of a sudden speaks Japanese. Quickly, our background, Kaspar and myself, I think we're working almost 18 years together. Time is flying, and that's good when you're having fun. I started with Kaspar with Alex. Kaspar obviously started in 1997 as one of the first founders of Alex in the Netherlands. Later became Bing Bank. Saxo Bank already explained it a little bit to you. Hugo Investing, you can see the winning mood logo that was already in the Alex logo. We inherited that into Hugo, and it's important to name Hugo Investing, and obviously you do that with a partner that you can trust. We are the only licensed financial broker in Andalusia. Really proud of that. The process of getting a license is not something I would recommend to do to somebody, because it takes a lot of sleepless nights. But we managed to do that, even though we were here already a long time. It took us a lot of sweat to get that license, but we managed to get it. what we do, basically, you as a client are always the most important person. We provide you with service. We can take your orders. We can provide information for your taxes. We can help you with your investments. We can look at together. If you have a problem, what could you do? We're not asset managers. You're always yourself responsible for any of the trades. And what we do is we use partners for, in this case, Saxo Bank, to allocate your money, to custody your money, and also to execute your transaction. So we're mainly on the service and the education part, as Kaspar showing. And that is what we are. So we are a regulated broker. Once again, we mention that quite often because we're really proud of that. And it's the most important thing is we have ongoing support. And that's something that everybody says, of course, nowadays when you have a business, I support my clients, etc. But in our case, I think we really go that extra mile, and we can say that. And people that know us, they know they can count on us in that sense. So I'm going to hand the word to Kaspar, who's going to talk with you about AI. Otherwise, the introduction takes longer than the whole presentation. So Kaspar, go ahead.
I think I have more than 90 slides to go.
90 slides, 90.
So, like that.
I hope you had an early dinner.
Thank you so much, Martin, for the introduction. Thank you for watching this webinar. If you have any questions, you can ask them during this video
in the
call.
chat.
And then Martin will follow them, and he will he will answer the questions, or ask me to answer the questions. And we can also do at the end a last round of questions after the presentation. So besides AI, I think every newspaper, every website is full of AI. There are still some other things going on, I think, around the world. And in 2004, some highlights. It's still about inflation. As you know, markets talk about when will be the interest rate, when will be the time to lower the interest rates in mainly, of course, the US and in Europe. But inflation is still a hot topic. And if you look at this chart, it's from a while ago, but it's the expected growth figures for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And you see, unfortunately, we live in the wrong area of the world, because if you see, Europe and US has the lowest expected growth rates. And then I think everybody knows in November this year, this battle will unfortunately have a lot of impact on the world. And I think that you will see, because you always will see it, but I think even more this year, towards November, this will have a huge impact on financial markets. Because in relation to this battle, I think, unfortunately, we have also two wars still going on in this world. Of course, you all know them, and they are also related to, I think, the new president of the US. Well, you also see, and I think you are all investors, it's also a little bit strange that with this wars going on, markets are on the highest level ever.
Yeah.
So the markets are so strong, the markets don't watch the news, but they neglect the news that's what's going on nowadays. So and it's an interesting market. At the end, we are investors, and bottom line, I think we are doing well now if you are long in the market. So that is that's positive. AI. If you look at the perfect portfolio, it doesn't exist, because everyone has a different perfect portfolio. If you are 80 years old and you have a good pension, you must have a different portfolio than when you are 18 and you are studying. So these are building blocks, and you can make them bigger and you can make them smaller, you can take parts out, but should be a fundamental portfolio. So your biggest position should be baskets of investments, in a basket of global equity, or for example, bonds or real estate. And building on top of that, you can look at sectors, and then building on top of that, we think you should look at individual investments like stocks or individual bonds. And these are the building blocks. It's a fundament for your portfolio. And today we're going to talk about AI, but we relate it to those building blocks. So we will talk about ETF AI, overall ETF AIs, subsector AIs, and individual shares. Is AI a bubble? I'm asking you. I ask you, Martin, do you think AI is a bubble?
Well, we talked about this presentation. We gave it a couple of times. I don't think it's a bubble, and we will definitely make you, I think, show that it's not. No?
Yeah, so what is a bubble? Something that is going up in value, but not a strong fundament under it. And then it explodes, it collapses, and then it creates a bubble and it goes down. So this is the stock market bubble picture. There are some important people in the market that think it is a bubble and it's the next bubble after the bubble that we have with IT and with the tulips a couple of years ago.
Bitcoin.
I don't think it's a bubble. If you look at the earnings seasons of Q4 last year, and then you see how many calls with the analysts, how many calls the CEOs talked about AI, and in those calls they don't talk about something about the weather. No, they only talk about fundamentals from the company. And in 36% of those calls, AI was mentioned. And if you look back, for example, to 2020, it was only 10%. So with the big companies, S&P 500, at least 1/3 is talking about AI, and talking means investing and working with AI. I find this always, it's a lot of information on this slide, but what you see is that worldwide, we have, on average, as a person, 5 devices that we own that are connected to the internet.
Correct.
5.
Yeah.
So some places in the world, they have, unfortunately, a little bit less money than we have. So they have maybe 1 and we have maybe 10. But it is expected that in the next 10 years, this will go to 41 connected devices to the internet. So that's your phone, but it also will be your washing machine. It will be your car, your fridge. Everything will be connected on average worldwide. That means a lot of data and a lot of connections, a lot of chips. So you see, I think this is mainly driven, because it's not connected to the internet, no, it is connected to AI, because they're self-learning machines. We, I think, have already a washing machine that knows what kind of washing it, how many kilo it is, and then it decides how many material it uses. So I think that's also, so going from 5 connected devices in 10 years to 41 connected devices. This is a chart of that the banking sector. Now, they are always a little bit traditional, I think, and a little bit conservative. But the top of mind, if you look at the bank sector, they say we have to invest in AI. This is a chart that shows the growth of the market divided by the world, the US and China. And you see all the charts are going up. And this is a really important chart. Of course, it are estimations, but this shows that for the next 6 years, the AI market, the overall AI market will grow with 37% on a yearly basis. And if you remember, some people I know came in late, but the first slide we had on was, if you are invested in the right sector, the other things are less important. So if you are in the right sector, and that is growing with 37% a year, then it is less important in which subsector, or which stock you are. It's more important to be in the most growing sector. Martin and myself, we make every week a vlog. And we try to talk about sectors, because we think if you believe in a sector, you understand in a sector, that's the most important thing. And then you will start looking for individual stocks in the individual ETFs. So this is expected 30%, 37% growth per year for the next 6 years. I think you want to be in that trade. McKinsey, last summer, 2023, they made a forecast also about the growth of AI. PwC did it also, and they think in 2030, AI will contribute for 15% to the world economy. And the world economy in 2022 was 104 trillion. So that will be 15% of the whole world economy. The knowledge of the productivity will get a real boost by 60-70%. And unfortunately, half of the existing jobs will disappear probably between 2030 and 2060. And I have this in an overview of a chart. And what does it mean? If you look from up to down, master degrees to no school degrees, on average, if you look at the blue figures, you can say on average 60% of the existing jobs will probably disappear. So I think if you look in the past, in the history, with this kind of developments, it was mainly affected by the people with no school degrees or with a lower degrees. But it is expected that this, and this is, I think it's for the first time, that it will affect the whole labor market. You saw the blue line, I go back, and the pink line, and there are two types of AI. The top line is that it's artificial intelligence that it also can produce, and the second one, so the pink one, sorry, that is more like understand patterns and make an outcome out of it. Is AI new? Martin knows it. AI is
if
not
I'm
new.
looking here, I get sometimes a message from somebody. So that,
Is there a question?
no, there's not a question at the moment. If I'm looking at my screen, then people know that I'm not.
Can everybody hear us?
I haven't seen anybody that cannot hear us.
Okay.
It's not new.
No,
it was already existing when my father was born. So.
In 1950. So AI is not new. You can see in this chart the development of AI, and I think maybe you know Mr. Turing. He is see him as the godfather of AI. And what Martin said in the beginning, we send the slides to you, but you can also look it up on the internet. And for example, the model that was introduced in 1952, it was called Chopper, and it was really interesting. It was a computer that there were so like digital shops, and the computer had had to shop for apples. So it went into the first shop, no apples. In the second shop, no apples, other products, and in the third shop it found apples. It came back, and then it said, it was asked to the computer, okay, now I want to know bananas. And then the shopper, he thought, that was in shop 1. He went into shop 1 and came back with the bananas. And that was the first presentation of AI. But I think what we want to say with this is that it is not a new development. So it's a long time development, more than 70 years. So it's not something new that can also disappear very fast. It's a strong development for more over than 70 years. Now, in the program slide, it was also said, what are the disadvantages? I think unemployment is a really big disadvantage, but on the other hand, it will also create opportunities. Data protection, I think, is an important one. And also through AI, Martin said also in the beginning, we're not going to show here all kind of application, but I think you have seen all kind of application, what you can do with AI. And mainly you can use it from a creative perspective. And if you use that, it will make people lazy, because people won't draft anything themselves, but don't want to create because they have something in their mind. They say, I want to see this on my screen, or want to hear this, or want this kind of music, and it is produced. So I think people will get more lazy than they are now. Emotionless, of course, it is still a computer. On the other hand, there are examples that it looks like the computer, the voice or the video shows emotion. And high costs, it is more like an investment, I think. And security risk is also, I think, a really big disadvantage. Okay, now, I think, especially when you remember the chart of the 37% growth approximately for the next 6 years, I think you know that you want to invest in AI, but you still don't know where to invest because there is so much in the news. So where to start? We had the other day, we had a person, we gave this presentation a couple of times for a group, and in the beginning, a person came to us and they said, I want that AI product.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
I think everybody has his own knowledge and experience. But what we see is even if you know a lot about AI, about the programs, it's still difficult where and how to invest in. And then we always like to talk about strategy, and you have to first to decide for yourself what kind of strategy you are going to use. Are you going to use a basket of players through ETFs of mutual funds, individual stocks, big stocks versus versus small stocks, and then companies that invest in AI in general or more in subsectors? That's the next step where we are going to talk about. That's what we're going to do. Investing in subsectors, investing in individual stocks, and investing in all baskets. And we will talk about 2 stocks, and probably you never heard of them.
I don't think so. No,
No. And are they small? Are they big?
they're not small.
No, they're quite big.
Big companies.
Billion-dollar
Pay
companies.
attention.
Yeah. Investing in the subsectors, and you have all kind of subsectors of AI. And I hope you can't read that. You cannot read this slide because it's not important. Because what we did, we made out of those subsectors, we divided 3 subsectors, 3 main subsectors. So what you see in this 3 balls, you see like, and it's also like the basis for everything, the hardware, the semiconductors, then the infrastructure, so the cloud, and then products and services. And that's a little bit broader. So that are all kind of applications that you can use for AI. So to summarize, we said, okay, subsector of AI. First one is hardware. The second one is infrastructure. And the third one, products and services. Probably you know Sam Altman. He was in the news about the new GDP 4.0 program. He said that for the future, the near future, we need, as a market in AI, we need as around $7 trillion. And for example, in 2023, it was only invested in the market 527 billion. There are other companies say that it's much too much, but it says something about how fast the market is growing of AI and semiconductors. What are semiconductors used for? Still mainly 1/3 is used for PC/computers, communication and industrial. Automotive also with 11%. So that is the use for semiconductors. And in relation to the slide that I showed you about the AI growth of 37%, I repeated a couple of times because I think I want to, if you are going home or you speak to somebody in the tomorrow, then you must realize, okay, the AI sectors is expected to grow 37% because that's the sector you want to be. But it's the subsector semiconductors, and also with a big expectation of growth. You see here, how can you invest in it? From a basket perspective, from an ETF perspective, what are ETFs? That are baskets, ETF, exchange traded funds. We selected 3 of them. And again, we can send you the presentation so you don't have to write them down. And of course, I think you will understand that the one that has a red line around it, that's our favorite one. It's Vanex Semiconductors. Why is it our favorite one? It's a huge one, 1.8 billion in it. Costs are similar to the other ones. But it's, if you look, and I don't show all the underlying products of all the ETFs, but the first one I want to show you. So if you believe in the semiconductors, you can buy, of course, NVIDIA, you can buy, of course, Intel. But you see here, and it's a weighted, so NVIDIA has the biggest position of this ETF. Then Broadcom, ASML, AMD, I see here, Qualcomm. So all the huge players in the market, you buy automatically by buying this ETF for semiconductors. And you see also NVIDIA is the biggest one with an percentage of the net assets of 13%. And then Broadcom is the second one with 10%. I think this is a really strong ETF that you can buy. In total, 25 holdings, and these are the top 10 holdings. If you look at the infrastructure, so the cloud, and I think all of you are almost every day increasing your own cloud. Probably you have a cloud maybe through your iPhone, maybe through Microsoft, and that's all growing. And every day we pay more for it.
Yeah. And you're not going to stop it.
No, and if you see how the data increasement is taking place at this moment, it's going so fast. So the cloud storage will be growing. And we also a figure from, and this is the expected growth of the cloud computing. And there are a big players in the market, a few big players in the market. Amazon is the biggest player, if I'm not mistaken. Microsoft is the number 2, I think, and Apple's number 4.
Yeah.
But you can also decide, I buy those important big players, or you can combine it, and that's what we show later in the presentation. You can buy one of those 4 ETFs, The top one is our favorite, Wisdom Tree Cloud Computing, with around 380 million euros of assets and total of 70 holdings in it. And probably, if you look at it, a lot of holdings, a lot of positions you never heard of. So more a little bit of smaller players. But I think a really interesting ETF to look at. And then products and services. I said in the beginning when I showed this picture that it's much broader. You see Adobe, you see Salesforce, all kind of different companies that are active within the products and services subsector of AI. Well, we made a choice here and we say, okay, I think that what really is getting important, and it will be even more important in the future, I think, is cybersecurity. It's not a really sexy topic to invest in. It's quite a little bit boring, and because everything with security is, of course, not.
It's boring.
Yeah, it's boring. But I think that a lot of people in the market, not you, but other people, they undervalue the cybersecurity market. You see also the growth, of course, you'd expect to grow, but it's like with everything in security, in the security landscape. If something is going well, you don't pay too much attention. But if tomorrow there is a big data leak or of information is on the streets because of failure, then people start suddenly, they start realizing something. Yeah, how important it is to secure your digital data. So then it will get another big boost in security. And if you look at now where the criminals are working on, they're towards going to the cyber crimes.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity is like a subsector of the products and services, but I think this is a really important one where you can look at. Again, we select the 4 ETFs. The top, we think the top is at the top. It's a huge one with almost 5 billion of assets in it and 30 holdings in it. Everything is going up almost with IT in it and AI in it. You know probably who is this nice lady?
It's Cathie Wood.
Katie Wood.
Katie Wood.
Katie Wood. She's really popular. If she says something, the whole world listens to her.
Yeah, well, it was, I think.
Yeah,
less and less.
Yeah, but she, I don't know how much dollars she managed, but a lot of billion of dollars she's managing. And she also had a fund and an ETF, ARK Innovation ETF. And if you look at the performance, so that's the blue line. And if you compare that to the benchmark, and that's from summer 21 until the beginning of this year, the benchmark performed plus 30%.
Plus 30%, yeah.
And Mrs.
Katie did minus 66. So
no, minus let's say minus 23. So, but it's the difference is.
Oh, the difference between
no, sorry, minus 66.
66. No, I was just going to say.
Sorry. So it's a huge difference.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
So not everything about AI and about tech is going well. So you have to do your homework, or you let us do our homework, of course. So there were the 3 subsectors. Now we're going to talk about individual stocks, and we can't neglect it. We have to talk about the Magnificent Seven. These are the Magnificent Seven. I think you know all the brands, you know them all. And they are so important because last year in 2023, the whole S&P 500 went up. They performed very well. They gained in total value $7.25 trillion. But the Magnificent Seven gained by themselves, those 7 gained $5 trillion dollars. So the other 497 only gained $2 trillion.
Yeah.
So you see how important they are. And a lot of people say nowadays, should they not call the Magnificent Sevens, but should they call the Magnificent Six? Because Tesla dropped so much. And some people say, if you look at this chart, that are the Magnificent Seven, maybe you should call them the Magnificent Two, NVIDIA and Meta. And some people even say, is it only Magnificent One? Because NVIDIA, and it's a quote of Goldman, they say NVIDIA is the most important stock nowadays on earth.
Pay attention tonight. After the market closes in the US, they're going to present their figures. And that is going to be, you see that's it. Today already in the market, it's quite flat. There's not a lot happening. But you see, for instance, we're going to skip this something else, but you see option premiums are higher than compared to the previous days. And then you see that the market is counting on on big news. And this will also give a confirmation whether AI is a bubble or that we have seen the most of it based on their figures.
Founded in 93. And the CEO was the founder, co-founder, and was the CEO from the beginning. I think he did a great job. If you ask him, he said, I will never do it again. It was so much, you said in the beginning, blood, sweat and tears, but he said, and he owns he has a wealth of $80 billion. And he's so popular, and you can even buy his jacket, what he always use when he's on television. I think you can buy it somewhere there on that website for $124. And he also has one tattoo, and the tattoo is the logo of his own company. And he had a bet within the company, said, if our stock price will ever reach the $100, then I will put a tattoo on my arm. So he had to do it. He also said, it's my last tattoo because it hurt so much. But I think a great example of, and also not a company that's new, but since 1993, so they have some experience. This is the forecast, so it's an expensive company trading at around $930. So the price earning is quite high, but you always have to look at the future. So 24, you see, this is the blue line, the big blue line. That's the expected, or that was the. Because it's already in the fiscal year 25, that was the earnings per share, but that's what $13, but it will go up probably to $50. And then you have to make the calculation for yourself, the PE divided $930 divided by 50. Is that still expensive for me or not? This is the chart. You can also see here how important they are within the S&P 500. And I only wanted to highlight the chart at the right bottom because that shows the profit margin. So one of the first slides of us was, is AI a bubble? And a bubble is when a financial product or a share goes up without an underlying value. And in this case, it has the top and the sort of Magnificent Seven, the top of the S&P 500, they are all in AI, and it's not a bubble because they have high profit margins. On the other hand, you can say if you have high profit margins, your profit margin can drop, but at this moment, they are healthy companies. And also here, I know it goes fast because we only have a little bit around half an hour. But what I wanted to show with this chart is that the forward PE is quite positive. And also if you look at the ratio assets versus debt, it is quite healthy companies. Especially if you look at the top one, Google, it's on average, they have really healthy figures. So assets versus debt, low debt ratios.
Absolutely.
We said in the beginning, we're going to talk about two individual stocks that probably you never heard of. And I think they're interesting AI players. Of course, with smaller players, you have also more risk because they're smaller, so more volatile. But on the other hand, you can also, if you do your homework and you understand the AI market, you say, but I believe more in this application, or I believe more this kind of product, then you can reach out to us. You can do it yourself. You can reach out to us, and we can help you with finding the right smaller companies, so smaller than the biggest seven of the S&P 500, to help you with filling in the ideal portfolio for you. So normally on a little bit more high risk, but also, it can be more, in line with your ideas. Now, I hope, again, that you can't read the slides. That's also my purpose, because from our 60,000 shares that we have in our database that you can buy and sell to us, we selected this spreadsheet of AI companies, and we gave them also some marks. One of them is, again, the subsectors. So again, if you want to know more about a certain application of AI, reach out to us. What we wanted to present to you is the averages. What you see here, the averages of the smaller companies of AI, and this is the average market cap divided by the subsectors, hardware, infrastructure, and products and services. And you see, so the smallest ones, or products and services, have on average $40 billion of market cap. So not small company, smaller companies.
Small companies. Yeah.
The average PE How many times do you pay the company from a profit perspective?
The lower the better. Huh? So
The lower the better. It's around 25. It's not cheap, but it's also not a bubble figure.
No.
And if you look at the debt versus asset ratio, you see big differences. And you see especially within the hardware sector, the debt ratio, so they have low debts in relation to the assets. And with the infrastructure, it's a different ball game. It's going to the 50%. 2 examples. This is the first example. It's called Skyworks Solutions. $15 billion market cap. And what they do, they also provide semiconductors, but a special kind of semiconductor. Are they performing great over the last year? No, they did not. Will they be a good performer in the future? I hope so, but I also think so. Well, we have some underlying data for it, because AI also will be really important within our phones. And it's expected that AI smartphones will be the future. Skyworks Solutions provide semiconductors for iPhones. They are the main supplier for the iPhones. It's also a risk, of course, if you have one big client.
Yeah.
And you see, iPhone may produce 66% in the total revenues from the previous fiscal year in 2003. But it's expected that the AI smartphones will grow from 50 million to 600 million in 2027. Apple has a market share worldwide of around 20-25%. And based on the expectations of the growth of the iPhone and the need of this kind of semiconductors, it's expected that the earnings per share will, and it dropped from $2.60 to $2, around $2 in the last year, will go up to $10 in the fiscal year 2027. They are now in the fiscal year 2025. So in 2 years, they were trading in the past on a PE average of 19. So with an earnings per share of 10, the stock price can go up to $190. It's now trading at around $92. So that's around a profit of 100%.
Yeah.
All kind of things can happen in the market, of course, but it's something, if you believe in it, do your homework or reach out to us. Don't buy it simply because we highlight it here, but this can be a really interesting stock that not a lot of investors have heard of. And this is another one, Leidos Holdings, a little bit bigger, 18 billion around market cap. It's trading at $150. And it's also an old company, so also not a company from yesterday. It was founded in 1969. And I put a line on the defense. They do more than defense, but this is a big part of their company. And of course, the minimum data budget that the European countries or that the NATO countries need to contribute is 2%. And in Europe, that will bring an extra investment of 58 billion euros. I think defense nowadays, from an investment perspective, but also from a perspective of how you should look at the world, has changed, I think. Definitely. And when we spoke about this years ago, a lot of people say, no, I don't want to do anything with defense. It's still possible. But also people realize that defense...
defend themselves.
Yeah, defend, yeah. It's also, you can also say cybersecurity is also within this sector.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's an undervalued company. It already went up a little bit when we start talking about it in the last months, but it's a really interesting company, and their clients are mainly the big, like the US government. They make AI defense system that the US government can use. So 2 interesting players, and they are from the product and services underlying subsector. Okay, the last one, we talk about the overall AI basket. So if you say, okay, I don't want to invest in individual stocks or sub-basket, I just want to invest in AI. Then we split it up in AI ETFs. This is quite a little bit modern robot. Yeah. And we have also AI mutual funds. We selected a couple and we split them up. Also, you see the performance over the last 4 years are similar. And here we highlighted them a little bit. And that's really important. But if you have an overall basket it can be an ETF or a mutual fund, you always have to know where you invest in. If you invest in the ETF of the semiconductors, you probably, if you know the market, you know, okay, they will probably invest in this, in NVIDIA and in Qualcomm and those companies. And then if you look at it's most of the time matching. But if you invest in an overall, also if you want to invest in car companies in ETF, you have to know where they invest in, because maybe you don't like the underlying shares. So then we split it up. We made an overview of the top 10 holdings, and then you see with those three, they invest in different kind of ETFs, and it's we don't have enough time to explain it in detail, but we, based on our exercise, we said, okay, if you want to go an overall AI ETF, you go for the top 1, the top 2 X-trackers, or the one from Wisdom-Tree.
Correct.
This is a more old-fashioned robot. I think mutual funds are a little bit more old-fashioned than ETFs. And then there are also a few available, and it's growing quite fast. This one are interesting, the Polar and the Allianz. And also what you see, the underlyings are different. But if you look at the cost, so that's at the top, the cost of the Polar mutual fund is 60 basis points on a yearly basis, and double the cost for the one of Allianz. And that's, of course, I think costs are important, are definitely not the most important thing with investing. I think because it's better to be in the right sector, but if you have double the costs.
Yeah, plus the fund is larger.
Yeah.
And you see there's a lot of overlap as well in the positions that they're holding.
So Polar it is.
Polar is.
So in the performance a little bit better of Polar, so we decided to present to you the Polar mutual fund. So that one combined depends where you want to invest in with the AI. You have to look at the underlying. You have the one of the X-trackers, the Wisdom-Tree, and the Polar Capital Artificial one. Conclusions. We are talking today only about AI.
Yeah.
And one of our first slides was what is the perfect portfolio, and that is for every person different. And where we touched up on today, individual shares, subsectors, and overall ETFs / mutual funds. And I think you have to position those investments within your portfolio like this. And this to summarize, to give you a little bit more guidance.
Guidance, yeah.
Yeah. If you say, okay, I believe in it. Again, this is again build up the biggest positions, and I only work with percentages. The biggest positions are the overall AI investments. One, the Polar Fund, the Wisdom-Tree ETF, for example, 25%. Then if you believe in a certain sector, certain subsector, for example, the cybersecurity and the semiconductor, a little bit less, because they're more specific, 15%, 50%. Then individual stocks, maybe you prefer Google / Alphabet or Microsoft, 7.5%. And then the ones we highlighted it on in the last part, they are smaller, more risk. And then, of course, you also have to allocate a little bit less money. But if you do it like this, and you can shift a little bit, I think then you have a really solid, nice sub-portfolio, AI portfolio, and really widespread. And I think then you will benefit the future of AI.
Absolutely.
So conclusion, the 37%, I mentioned it a couple of times, it's now top of your head. That's the growth, expected growth of the whole AI sector for the coming 6 years. So don't miss that train. And always you could say, why I didn't invest earlier. That's the past. It's now today. So if you don't invest in it, look at it from a new perspective. And I think you can invest in the subsectors, hardware, infrastructure, products and services. And from products and services, we prefer the cybersecurity. Individual stocks, the big ones, Magnificent Seven versus some smaller ones, but smaller, not small.
No, definitely not.
15 and 80 billion market cap. And overall baskets to make it a little bit more easy. And I hope that as you know us, hopefully you know us, then we know we're always practical. We combine the theory, but also with practical examples. We do this together with our clients. We got a lot of input from our clients. And this all together from a practical perspective, I think this is what you can work on within your own investments based on AI.
I couldn't agree more, Kaspar.
Thank you, Martin.
And so it should be.
So thank you for your time. 5 minutes longer than expected. If you want to ask me some questions, you can always do it later. And this is my email address, Kaspar@hugoinvesting.com. And for now, if you have any questions, please let us know.
Yes. I think there's one person writing. Let's see.
Maybe you have questions, Martin.
Would be quite funny if I have a question for you. No, but I think it's clear that you can't go around this, and there's all different sorts of investors. If you add a piece in your portfolio, you want to be invested in something that is growing. That is the conclusion, I think. So
so please let me know again if you have any questions. You can ask them through my email.
Yeah, the question here is whether we are not managing actively the portfolio. Now, we indeed, we're not portfolio managers. We take the trades. So we receive and transmit the trades to one of the partners, Interactive Brokers or Saxo Bank in this case. And what we do, however, is we use it on the driver's seat. So you decide eventually you want to go left or right, but we can sit next to you if you want that. That's how we always explain it.
Yeah, and some people, they need a lot of support. I think there's another question.
Also, thank you.
Oh, okay. And some people, they are reaching out to us a lot and to have some questions. Yeah. So this is a high offer examples. If you want to know something more in detail, we can always give you the details.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for being present. And I think we're going to close the session. And we're going to do this more often. I think it was nice to do this session.
Yeah, I also hope you liked it. And if you have remarks or questions, please let me know. Thank you so
very much.
Have a great day.
The chat, by the way, is still open, so we can still see any questions coming in.
See you next time.